BMW M, the motorsport division of the Bavarian legends. When you think of M, you think of cars like the S85 V10 powered M5, or the legendary straight-six engines that have evolved from the 300 horsepower S54 to the over 500 horsepower S58 in the new M3s. And in recent years, BMW has made it possible to get a small taste of that M experience without buying a full-blown M car. But in 2022, you can get a taste of the M experience without even having an engine. At least that's what BMW is claiming. The new i4 M50 is one of the quickest production BMWs currently being sold, has over 530 horsepower, and has more M badges on it than some actual M cars. But besides this just being a super fast electric BMW, does it actually provide the M experience? Before we get into the actual review, the first thing we must absolutely do is launch this car like a million times. BMW claims a 0 to 60 of 3.7 seconds. Car and Drivers tested this car doing a 3.3 second 0 to 60. And well, I don't have any of the proper specialist timing gear that they used, but I figured we could just gauge it based on the feeling.
Oh, fuck. Damn! Miles, holy shit!
Hans Zimmer actually worked with BMW to make these sounds for the car. Okay, let's actually test this car now. The design, in my opinion, was something I was initially not a fan of at all before getting to see it in person, and that's mostly because of the grille, of course. It is indeed massive, and as opposed to the new M3 and M4 that utilize the grille to help airflow and whatnot, this is pretty much all vanity. And I've never really been a fan of the Grand Coupe design language in general from an aesthetic standpoint, but it's cool that this car is a genuine hatchback that allows you to store a crap ton of stuff in the back. Getting to use the car every day, I've definitely gotten more adjusted to the design language, and I've come to not mind the ginormous grille. In person, I think the headlights and taillights make the car look like it means business, and I'm especially a fan of the rear diffuser. I think it somewhat makes up for that lack of dual or quad exhaust tips, which is a signature M styling feature. The Brooklyn gray color in person has a pretty noticeable blue tint to it, and I don't think it looks bad, but what happened to just a classic metallic silver or something a bit more conventional? I think a lot of these new BMW colorways are a little bit cartoony for my taste, but that's really just nitpicking. I will say that these 20-inch M Sport wheels look way better than most OEM BMW wheels, honestly. Not only is it the right amount of aggressive and sporty, but I think it also matches the car's overall aesthetic really well. But there is a huge drawback to having these 20-inch wheels over 18s or 19s, and we'll get into that later. I think the interior is one of the biggest reasons why many people will consider this car over something like a Tesla when it comes to the build quality, the materials used, the infotainment and display. I think this is one of the best interior experiences you can get on a sub $100,000 luxury car, in my opinion. Yes, there is some plastic here and there on the inside, but everything that you're actually interacting with the most on a daily basis, like the steering wheel, the door handles, the iDrive controller, it all feels very nice to use. The seats are pretty nice too. I've yet to ever feel uncomfortable after doing any long distance drives, and when getting into some spirited driving, these side bolsters hug you in pretty well. But with how big this car is in general, I gotta say, I feel like the interior roominess isn't actually that great. You know, it feels like a 5 Series in terms of the way it drives, but in terms of interior roominess, it feels like a 2 Series in my opinion. And maybe that was done on purpose by BMW to give you a more tight and personal and intimate driving experience. But I feel like in general, there could be a bit more room in here with how big this car is in general. With this car being electric, it of course does not skip out on the technology and connectivity part. So in addition to having Apple CarPlay, you've got optional wireless charging for your smartphone in the center console, and then you've got USB and USB-C ports in the center armrest, in the front and in the back of the car. So pretty much all of the essential boxes are checked here. The i4 features BMW's latest iteration of their iDrive system, iDrive 8. And when coming from the 10-year-old version of iDrive and hopping into this brand new one, I honestly feel right at home using this system. There hasn't been really a single moment that I've had trouble figuring out how to do something within the software. And another thing I appreciate is that when you stop the car, any music being played will stop as soon as you open the door, as opposed to other vehicles where you have to get out of the car, close the door, and lock it before all of the media is completely shut down. I really like that touch. A few quirks that I found a little strange with the i4 M50. Firstly, whenever I've got CarPlay connected in the car and I'm playing music through CarPlay, whenever I interact with certain items in the iDrive system, the music cuts out a little bit, and it happens every time I click or press on something on the display. It's kind of annoying. Let me know if you guys can hear it. I'm going to play some music right now. So of course, now that I try to actually demo it, it's not doing exactly what it's been doing for the past 5 days, naturally, but I swear it has been happening, and it'll probably happen as soon as I turn the camera off and start trying to use the car normally again. And another quirk is just all the little noises that this car makes in general. When unlocking the car, shutting it off, turning it on, you hear all kinds of little hums and clicks if you're really paying attention to the noises that the car is making. And one particular sound that the car makes when you unlock the car for the first time sounds a lot like this meme, and I think about it every time I hear it. Before we get into the performance aspects of driving this car, I think it's only right that I cater to people who might not ever use sport mode in the car, which is probably going to be a lot of people who actually buy this thing. In either comfort mode or Eco Pro, the cabin feels nearly 100% calm and serene, and going over bumps and imperfections in the road honestly feels a lot better than the Tesla Model Y Performance, which I drove recently. And when I say almost 100% calm and serene, that's because I'm constantly, and I mean constantly, hearing dirt and debris and gravel fly up under the car. It's something I'm always hearing whenever I don't have music playing at a decently high volume. It's pretty annoying, I gotta say, and something that you could get used to over time, I guess, but it's not something I've ever experienced in any other electric vehicle, firstly, and any other BMW. So this is kind of disappointing that I constantly have to hear these rock chips and stuff flying up all the time. I'm not sure what part of the design is causing that, but I do not like it. In the normal drive mode, you still have to use the brake pedal to stop the car, but if you pop the gear shifter over into B, you've got seamless one pedal driving. And there are a lot of useful scenarios, including stop and go traffic, where one pedal driving is really useful, and I found myself using it more and more. But I'm also glad I have the option to turn it off when I want the more traditional driving experience. You've got a lot of the to be expected tech features in a 2023 car, including lane keep assist and an assisted driving feature that'll competently do everything for you except for make lane changes and stuff like that. Especially in situations like stop and go highway traffic, this is a pretty good system. It's not exactly perfect though. Right now I'm in assisted driving mode, which I can just activate with a click of a button here on the steering wheel, and it's completely taking over. I've got no hands on the steering wheel and no hands on either of the pedals, and right now it's just taking me along, whisking me along through traffic, and I gotta say I'm pretty impressed with how well it's doing in terms of, oh wow, that was a hurricane. I'm very impressed with how well the braking distance is, as far as making sure I'm not rear-ending this car in front of me, which is pretty close. So I'm feeling very confident in the assisted driving here so far. It's doing a little bit of steering for me too, to make sure I'm straight, because uneven surfaces everywhere across Chicago, so a lot of training that's going to need to be done. But overall, I gotta say, this assisted driving, it's I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. Now, one thing I'm not a fan of in this car is the turning radius. Now, the car I drive every day is notably smaller than the i4, but I found that even with all these awesome backup and surround cameras and sensors that make it super easy and that are super accurate in terms of showing you exactly where the car is physically, I've consistently found myself doing more work to get into the same spots that I park in my regular car every day, like the garage, my favorite parking spot at the gym, and things of that nature. I think even our old BMW X5 has a slightly better turning radius than this car in terms of ease of parking and getting into spots and things like that. All of this is really just to say that the backup cameras, the sensors, all of it works fantastically, especially the way it's presented within the iDrive software, but I'm still doing more work to do the same parking maneuvers compared to my old BMW that just has nothing but the beeping parking sensors. This car's power comes from an 81 kilowatt hour battery with a dual motor setup with a combined power output of 536 horsepower and 586 pound-feet of torque. And this car weighs a little over 5,000 pounds, so she's definitely not light, but that near 600 pound-feet of torque definitely offsets the weight a little bit, and is surely going to get you where you need to go at the right time. But with the range I've been getting in this car, you'll be lucky to actually get where you want to go without having to re-up first. So a part of this journey in reviewing this product is reviewing the electric side of the experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. The problem for me is that unfortunately I don't have a 240 volt socket at my place, so I unfortunately have to rely on basically places I can just find to charge the car. And so right now I'm in a Whole Foods parking lot where I'm going to experience charging up this vehicle for the first time. It's an EV Go station, if that has any relevance, and I'm gonna install the app and everything and go through the whole process and take you guys with me. So yeah, no luck on this charger here. Guess I gotta find another one. I don't know if there's another one in this lot. Probably gonna have to go somewhere else now. Cool, this is, we're 0 for 1 so far. Charge failed with an unknown error code. We're under 100 miles at this point, so I kind of need to get it charged tonight or today because it's the first day. I'm looking here at the EV Go app and I'm seeing there's an 100 kilowatt and a 350 kilowatt charging station 6 miles away. I don't know, this is starting to feel like a gamble given the fact that I've now done 2 in a row and I've had no success. Hopefully there isn't an issue with the car, because that would really suck. But let's give this a shot. Let's give this Whole Foods a shot. I'm at the charger now, so I'm gonna hit CCS combo, confirm my session, start charging, and see what happens. Guess what, guys? We're actually charging now. Yay, yay, yay. We're actually charging now. So what I'm seeing here right at my screen, actually, let me just whip up my phone so we can both get an idea of what's going on here. So as we can see, we've got, I think this is with the 350 station because we're obviously over 100 kilowatts. And yeah, we should be at 100% in less than an hour. It's currently 4:15, sorry for the smudges. Yeah, we should be good in an hour. Let's see how this goes. And because I'm burning in here, I turned on the AC and got a message saying, charging time may be increased when climate control is activated or the fan loudness is restricted. But currently, I don't think it's holding strong at 153 kilowatts currently. So, yeah, I think we're good. Oh, okay. There goes a drop. All right, so I spoke too soon. I guess it dropped by about 20 kilowatts or so because I got the AC going. So, compromise. If you live in a hot place and you want to charge your car and sit in your car while it charges, you're going to suffer a longer charging time because you obviously don't want to suffer a heat stroke in your car because the AC is not on. So about 50 minutes later, I'm done charging. I'm at 100%, and currently my gauge says 180 miles of range, at least given the fact that I'm currently in sport mode. If I put it into Eco Pro, so far it still says 181 miles an hour at 100%. Hopefully that estimate changes. But yeah, the total cost of charging was actually more than I thought it was going to be. It ended up being $15. I started charging at 40%, so that's definitely cheaper than what I would spend at any gas station near me to get my gas-powered BMW filled up from 40% of a tank. But, you know, I had to sit here for basically an hour, and this was the third one I tried. I didn't have a successful attempt twice, so, I mean, there's definitely compromises here. Is it really worth saving the $20, $30, maybe some cases $40 to get an electric car and save money on that aspect when you have to kind of jump through a lot more hoops than most people with gas-powered cars would be used to? Like I said, this took up maybe just like I think maybe like a few hours just me trying to go find somewhere to charge. And that's, you know, that's pretty significant as opposed to where if you have like the Gas Buddy app to find like the cheapest gas station near you, you go to the gas station, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have a problem, you know, getting the pump to work with your car. And that doesn't seem to be the case with these electrifying chargers, at least with these EV Go stations. I guess I probably need to see what other type of charging stations I can find out here in the Chicago area. But yeah, I don't know if I could do this every day, you know? I mean, I would have to have a charger at home. Otherwise, I think this would not be practical, you know? Especially with people with busy schedules, people who have to work maybe most of the day and don't have a lot of time or maybe the energy to want to spend an hour plus after work, or doing something before work early to make sure they've got a charge. A lot of that stuff can really hamper one's schedule down. And so yeah, I'd say if you don't have a charger at home, this would be rough. This would be rough. Overall, the electric range is definitely the weakest aspect of this car, and for certain people and situations, it may be a fatal flaw. I've spent nearly $50 over 4 days charging this car up, and yes, I could have saved some money going to the slower stations, but I'm already having to wait nearly an hour or more at the fastest charging stations around. So imagine if I went to one of these 7 kilowatt stations, that's 95% slower. It's unfortunate that this car is designed to be a dailyable vehicle, because in pretty much every aspect except for this, it is. But when it comes to the charge, you'll be pretty much re-upping this thing every day, or as much as someone driving a high-end sports car, if not more. And a major part of my range experience is due to these 20-inch M Sport wheels. Bigger wheels means less range, and so I probably would have gotten at least 20 to 30 miles of extra range running 19s, and even better running 18s. And so you gotta decide whether this aesthetic benefit is worth losing some actual functionality from the car. If this car was just called the i4 with 530 horsepower, I would approach the driving performance of this car from an entirely different perspective. But because of the 1000M logos on this car, I think it's only fair that I approach this review in the same way that I would approach reviewing an actual M car. This car is obviously electric, so the instantaneous delivery of power, to put it lightly, is immense. But M cars were never about being the fastest on the street per se, it's about engagement, it's about emotion, it's about handling and steering feel. And I gotta say, outside of the straight line acceleration, a lot of the other classic enjoyment factors are somewhat missing for me. You've got 3 sport modes in the car: Sport, Sport Boost, and Sport Individual. Sport Individual allows you to individually customize your drivetrain, steering, and dampers to either comfort or sport. And quite honestly, the changes between sport and comfort suspension steering aren't that drastic to me, and what I'm really missing here is the ability to go into a rear-wheel drive mode like a lot of gas-powered M cars with all-wheel drive can do. The rear-wheel drive factor is a huge part of what allows people to truly enjoy driving sports cars, and I would probably be having at least 4 times the fun if I truly had the ability to throw the rear end out without really trying. I love the cool Hans Zimmer sound design that accompanies the car while you accelerate, and the sounds intensify in a really cool way when you have the car in sport mode and prepare the car for launches. But if you've got any music playing on moderate volume, most of those sounds are going to be drowned out, as opposed to a lot of gas-powered M cars that are at least loud enough to still be heard when playing some tunes. It's only when it's dead silent in the car that I can truly enjoy the noises that this car makes. And that's just a downside of electrification in general. It's not an i4 specific thing, but you either won't hear the car at all, or you will, and it'll sound like this. The i4 is not small, so nimble is a terrible way to describe this car, but when considering the fact that this car weighs over 5,000 pounds, it's considerably light on its feet, and because of the decently wide tire profile and all-wheel drive, you can make a lot of brisk moves with a lot of confidence. And with 374mm brake discs in the front and 348mm discs in the back, and Pirelli P0 tires all around, you can bet that this car will stop when you need it to. But I will say, the braking feel in sport mode compared to comfort mode can feel a little weird at times. I've noticed that in sport mode, the brakes can feel kind of grindy when doing a hard brake or even just a somewhat quick stop. I also feel like the brakes are a tad bit touchy. I notice I don't have to get on it too much. Like right now I'm going at 40 miles an hour. I'm just gonna, and it kind of like, I don't know, it kind of feels very very harsh. I'm not sure if I like it too much. You kind of have to be very sensitive with it. When playing around with this car in sport mode, specifically Sport Boost mode, when getting on the brakes after, a quick pull or something like that, it feels like, I don't know, I'm grinding against something. Like it just doesn't feel smooth. Like the brakes feel confidence inspiring. They don't feel dangerous. The braking power is there, but the braking feel for me is just, I don't know, maybe it's this car. I'm not sure at this point, but it kind of feels weird. I notice it's not as noticeable when in Eco Pro mode, which is the mode I'm in right now, and Jesus Christ, it's very dark now. I'll say that in general, this is not going to give you the same enjoyment that a traditional M car will. This car is very powerful with truly explosive acceleration, but I think a downside is that it's also too composed. Like, it's extremely difficult to tail slide this thing. It's either gotta be wet outside or you gotta be doing a really, really tight turn aggressively at full throttle. The i4M50 is just too easy and too calculated, you know? But I think the silver lining is that this car is at least trying to embody the spirit of an M car and really a BMW in general, in the sense that it always feels like it's just ready to go, you know? And even in comfort mode, the car always feels like it's just ready to take off. I love what the M car started as and what they represent, but in the coming years, the meaning of M is going to be a lot different in execution. And trust me, I know what it's like to experience seismic change and to be mentally unprepared for it, but I think the best way to move forward is to approach said change with an open mind, because if not, all you'll really have to enjoy is the past, a past that no longer aligns with the future. I guess what I'm trying to say is the idea of an M car may be changing, but I think with a little more effort and passion on BMW's end and a little more lenience and acceptance on ours, I think we'll still be able to enjoy them. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for future reviews, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Ah,
That definitely pulled harder.
that's definitely a strong pull, buddy.